The Sword of Arcterra, Destiny is a Choice. Written by R.E. Joyce. Narrated by Vanessa Brooks. Copyright 2026 by VM Publishing LLC. Production copyright 2026 by VM Publishing LLC. Dedication. This book is dedicated to the people of Cleburne, Texas, and my friends at R&K Cafe 2. During the winter of my soul, when life felt covered in sadness, and the cold of terrible loss destroyed imagination, the people of this city stood stalwart and open, with love and community. I would wander into R&K Cafe 2, my emotions shrouded in a sadness that only time could heal, and the merry banter of life, love, and companionship would embrace me. Warm food and loving care embraced me and held me together for one more meal and one more day. My muse returned, and this story emerged in wonderment while I finished a delightful omelet and sipped the last of a great cup of coffee. Life was restored to this writer, and R&K Cafe was a deep, love-filled part of this recovery. Blessings and many more cups of coffee are my wishes for R&K and Cleburne, my new home. Fairy Tale Flutterings. Stories of a pixie-ish nature. A note on this manuscript from VM Publishing. We were approached by a rather dusty old gentleman who stated flatly in a West Texas drawl that he found the scrolls while looking for gold. His only requirement was to be left alone, and that any reward could be left at the Western Union Station for his eventual return to civilization. They were parchments from a distant past, and they told wonderful tales that filled our staff with excitement. Our happiness was so great that we chose to name it in commemoration of the event. These are the transcriptions of the works we have been given under the name of R.E. Joyce. We hope you rejoice too. Chapter 1. Choices. Synopsis. The desire to escape and forge his own life gives Eli the determination to complete his mother's quest, leading him to dedicate himself to the world's needs and ultimately to find love. The race into the hills was not planned. Eli kept a firm grip on the sack holding the chicken and the bottle of wine he stole from Alania's sheriff's table. Hunger was the last reason for the theft. The beating of his mother by the official as she begged for her son's welfare remained at the forefront of his anger. Being cast aside by the fat noble was the last degradation of his mother before she succumbed to the cold of the waning winter. Leaving the pauper's grave for the city of Alania to tend, Eli chose the North Wilderness over civilization. He carried a medallion made of a mysterious, shiny substance that was said to be his father's. Most likely, stories made up by his mother, attempting to make life more than just painful sadness. The leather cord that kept the medallion around his neck had a companion. The ring with the odd-shaped rune now gently clinked into the medallion as he ran. Needing nothing besides the two possessions around his neck, he traveled through the evening shadows after deciding the sheriff owed him one good meal. The chase by the fat official required very little effort. The two guards also fell behind quickly as Eli's sturdy frame carried him through the alleys and into the fields north of the city. By the time the posse assembled and raced into the darkness on steeds, Eli was climbing through the tree line and into the rocky mountain passes where no one would follow. As the moon reached its zenith, Eli looked out at the northern wilderness that would become his new home. A small gathering of pines holding on to the sides of the next rocky mountain became the destination for a man possessing only the sadness of his mother's death to keep him warm. Motion's effort held his focus, and he reached the trees as the sun began to play with the shadows in the valley to the west. He watched as the sun revealed the gathering of horse riders on the road, heading west and out of sight. Alania's laws would not find their thief. Alania. More hamlet than city, it remained an important center for the kingdom of Morena. History unveils that the first royal family came from the village, and their lineage traces back through their ancestors to the goddess Morena. Many centuries of history, building tales of great marvels and adventures, are told to ease the toil of life for children touching on poverty. Eli had no chance in this hamlet, and his mother's death made his decision to wander into the wilderness easy. The theft was not a lesson his mother taught him. Instead, Eli let anger rule the moment. Now free in the wild mountains of the north, his mother's last words guided his choice. "You are your father's son, Eli. Take up his quest and go north to find your destiny." North. The small fire beneath the pines made the fat fowl drip succulent juices, and with the wine and bread, Eli had his first repast of freedom. Tomorrow he would crest the second mountain and decide where his destiny lies. Morning's light found the young man climbing and reaching the peak. Eli looked out at the vast panorama filled with mountain ranges, valleys, rivers, and forests, teeming with life, awakening from the long winter. A deer strode out from the forest below Eli, ignoring the man as it went to drink from the stream. This was his new world, and an excitement surged through him. His youth taught him how to fashion the tools to survive this wilderness of plenty. Not looking back, he headed into his new destiny. The tree. It had been 14 days, and the bow he fashioned proved its worth. He finished cutting the young deer's carcass, freeing a large pelt, and placing the last haunch in the fire pit. He would eat well for a month, and the leather would become a new coat and breeches. Now that he had acquired sustenance, he sought a place to store his bounty. The strange, giant, gray tree with broad, silver-tinged leaves would hold his bounty out of reach of the forest creatures. Climbing up into its strong branches, he also found a place for himself, where 3 branches crisscrossed, forming a platform. Further up, he found a crotch that held a peculiar opening. Tentatively reaching in, he felt something cold and solid, like stone. Unable to dislodge the object, he went back to his task, hanging the dried and salted meat in the branches. In the morning, with more light, he would explore the odd object. His knife removed the bark, expanding the opening and allowing Eli to get his arm in. The hole within the tree expanded, and his hand could grasp the object that now felt like a sword's hilt. Tugging, the hilt gave way and slid from the tree, exposing a silver sword with a leather-bound hilt, its pommel made of the same odd material as his father's medallion. Carefully descending and placing the blade on the ground, he traced the odd etchings on the blade. One of the etchings matched the rune on his father's medallion. "Now it is your duty." The voice came from behind Eli, making him tense. "You must now take up the quest of the Night Zender." Turning towards the voice and reaching for the blade in his belt, Eli looked at nothing but shadows. "It is not I you must defeat, warrior. It is the one who stole the queendom from the people." The sound of the voice was again behind him. He froze, almost feeling its hot breath on the back of his neck. "Who are you to give me commands?" He stood still, expecting the blade of the shade to end the conversation. Now, from behind the gray tree, a laughing voice spoke. Your mother's rune will help you cipher the blade. It is the ancient sword of Arcterra, and it will give you the first destination of your quest. Travel well, young warrior.
Who are?
Eli stopped speaking, knowing his words would be lost to the wind. The shade had gone, and he was alone with a blade made for a great ancient warrior of legend who could not finish his quest. 3 weeks came and went. The new leather clothing fit well, and he dyed it with crushed leaves from the gray tree, turning the leather a dark green. The meat of the deer was now packed in leather bindings, and he hefted the pack along with his new bow and a quiver of arrows. The runes on the blade gave up their mystery. He was to go into the northern mountains and seek the cliffs of Eldon, where a cave would open on the south wall. In the cave, beyond the treacheries of an ancient wizard, he would find the Emerald of Forrestal. Settling the pack, Eli spoke to the vastness of the north.
And so it begins. A quest to find the greatest jewel of the ancient kingdoms. What better quest could I ask for?
As Eli strode forward, ever northward, he hummed tunes of his childhood. They were remembered during his ciphering of the runes, along with childhood stories of fame and fortune. It was the sheriff who told the children about the Emerald of Forrestal and its great value. Now, a young man with no home traveled deep into the wilderness to find treasures lost to folklore and children's fables.
Destiny's horn fills the heart with new joy and an untrod way. Destiny demands your quest begin, as only the bold can fulfill the day.